Greetings everyone and welcome back to the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage YouTube channel. Today you are looking at yet another machine that I believe I made a video talking about a machine that I had recently purchased, and this is model 568, and this is a sewing machine that was designed at least in part by the White Sewing Machine Company and built in Japan by the 1960s. This is 1962, 61, 62, 63. I'm going to put it in that range of time. And you still see, of course, people sometimes associate the color turquoise with things in the 50s, but that color was so popular it continued on well into the 60s. Now, this machine is one that I purchased, and I believe that it hasn't run well for a while. Don't know a lot about it. I'm trying to remember where I bought it, and I'm gonna have to ponder that. I don't actually recall, but I'm getting around to finally working on it. This is one of my favorites from this period, because the White machines were very well engineered, and the primary claim to fame of this particular model is that, of course, it has dedicated straight stitch, it has zigzag, it has needle position adjustment, and it came with a little hatch up top. I call it a hatch, I don't know what White called it, and this little door in the top where you could put cams. It didn't come with cams, and actually I don't know for sure if the original purchaser would have had them, although, you know, unless they were planning on buying this model and getting cams later on, there's probably a decent chance that whoever bought this when it was new got cams, and who knows how many other, you know, accessories and upsells that they paid for. But over the life of a machine, it may have changed hands many times. Occasionally I get machines from the original householder owner, and those are always extra special to me. But be that as it may, this is still a special machine, even if it may have come from a second, third, fourth, or 10th owner for that matter. And again, even though I don't have the cams, that's okay. You know, you can always search for cams. They're a little, searching for cams for machines of this era can be quite an adventure. Now, this machine uses what the vast majority of Japanese-made machines from this period use. It's called a dual block setup. It has a cord, or it has a little, it's called a block, and it's basically two electrical outlets. One of them is for the motor, and the other is for the light. And you definitely don't want to transpose those. If you get them crossed, the machine will be confused and won't run properly. But I know just from initially looking at this machine that it's had some problems in the past. For example, I don't know if it's going to show up for you here, but we'll zoom in and try to get a good picture for you. If you look closely at the needle, or what's left of it, you'll see that the needle is broken. Now, broken needle can be caused for many different things. It doesn't mean something was wrong with the machine. I've had machines with broken needles because someone just didn't put something back correctly and the needle slammed into the hook or the bobbin case because it wasn't installed properly. It can happen. It can happen for other reasons as well. But I can see the shaft of the needle here, and it's been snapped off. It could have been also snapped off because someone was sewing something a little too dense with it. Who knows? Like many of the Japanese machines of the era, one of the improvements, or at least that they marketed this as an improvement, instead of having a sliding bobbin plate, excuse me, you just flip it up, right? So you don't have to worry about installing and reinstalling it. If you ever need to remove it, you can, because it is attached with little baby hinges here. It is attached to the needle plate. Now, this machine, of course, comes with What else did it come with? Of course, it has a light. Here's the light fixture. I don't know if it works or not at the moment. I can adjust my stitch length right there on that dial, this big dial here. Reverse is here down below. If you look, you'll see the letter R. They didn't have room to write the whole name reverse, I guess. They just put R. That's for back tacking. And this is the obligatory adjustment for the feed dogs. And I have mentioned to you all before, almost every single sewing machine I have ever worked on, this does not work when I get it. So if you get a machine like that, don't worry about it. It's okay. It can be done. It can be overhauled. It's usually just stuck. It just usually needs to be unstuck. And I've covered this in a number of videos, and we'll talk about it again with this one. You never try to unstick it with the knob. You go underneath. But for today, I thought it would be useful to show you the side of the machine. Now, when you go back in time with sewing machines, and we'll kind of pan back out here for just a moment, typically you would see the belt and it would be exposed, and then the motor would simply, hang. It was just sort of mounted with bolts, usually it's a single bolt with a bracket attached to the motor. This one, by the time we get to the 60s, sewing machine companies are beginning to cover the motor. And I don't know why they felt the need to cover it, but they did. It could have been for styling. There is a cover that this machine came with, and I have the bolts. I put them down in here so I don't lose them. And of course you have an opening there, a grill to allow airflow. Now, at this point, you'll notice, I don't know if you can tell, but this is steel. This entire piece is steel. Later, they would not only have a side cover made of plastic, they would, the whole back side would be plastic. If you look at machines and you look at their evolution as you go forward in the decades, they continue to look for ways to save on costs. And you could argue, well, who cares, because it's just a cover. It's not really mechanical. But of course, we know that they didn't stop there. However, today I thought I would show all of you how I remove the motor. Now, it may or may not be obvious to some of you how you remove the motor. And I'm going to remove the belt as well because I'd like to inspect that. And so the first thing I want to do is loosen these bolts here. And you want to get yourself, I highly recommend you invest in a screwdriver bit set, right? I've talked about this before in my tool series on sewing. I think that's a playlist called Tools. I think I have one called that. And what I'm looking for is a bit that will fit into the screw or the bolt. And what I want is something that fits, that is not too big and not too small. This one should do it. The reason I recommend these screwdriver bits is because they are less likely to strip a bolt than a common screwdriver, which is tapered, which is actually a sort of a compromise tool. Most of us, that's all we've ever used. Now, and that's all I'd ever used until I bought this set. I'm going to turn. Now, remember, I'm surprised this is actually turning for me. This bolt, I mean, it was pretty tight, but I was able to turn it without having to spray any penetrant oils on it. Don't know why, but the top bolt seems to be more stubborn. So let's see. I don't want to damage my... There, I broke the whatever was causing that bolt to stick. I've managed to get that off. And you may have noticed that the belt or the motor moved a little bit, and of course it would, because the motor is attached to the bracket, and the bracket bolts onto the body of the machine, or the head as it's called in sewing machines. So I'm going to go ahead and take the bolts out, because again, I know that I can, for example, remove the belt. I can raise the bracket up and get the belt off, but I don't really need to do this because I'm going to be taking the motor out. And in order to do that, I've got to get my bolts off, completely off. I just heard my bolt. And by the way, it is very common for these bolts, because they're not as big as the single bolt setup, because that single bolt had to hold the motor. You have two bolts, but these bolts that are used to hold motors to machines, they often have large washers, and you want to be looking for that. Those washers help protect the metal. Now I'm just going to push up below on the motor. It's just sort of hanging there. Take the belt off. Now the belt is it hasn't actually come fully off yet, because I have not undone my hand wheel. So what I'm doing right now is I'm gonna reach in, see if my motor is going to want to come out at all. Keep in mind that the motor has a cord that is going to be connecting to the dual block, which is where it's going to be getting its power from. So sometimes it will come off and you'll have some room here with the cord, but it doesn't seem to want to move here. So I'm not going to force it. That would not be wise. As I've mentioned in other videos, such as with some of my European machines, you always want to exercise patience. Do not get in a hurry, because if you do, you may not like the result. Okay, so what am I doing here? I am taking the machine, I've sort of turned it back around to the front, because what I want to do is, and by the way, if you try to tilt your machine back and it won't tilt back, chances are there's a little clip like this one. This one is not secure. These are designed to just hold the machine still when it's being run. It's never going to hold something this heavy in there. Now, let's take a look and see what we have. Aha! The reason that the motor does not want to come out is because, and I'm holding this because this is heavier than a bowling ball, and the whole thing will go flying over. If I zoom in for you, oops, take a look. Sorry about that. Take a look at this piece here. There's a bolt that basically has a little cord bracket, if you will, and it's designed to keep things in place. Now, I haven't followed these cords yet. Usually, it's fairly common that a light cord, for reasons not clear to me, has an extra jacket or covering over the cord. This cord here should be my motor cord. So I'm going to, both of these cords, there's a little slit in the case here that allows them to have a place to hide when the machine's closed, so you don't pinch it with the bed of the machine. So I'm going to follow this, and yeah, this should be the motor. It still has the motor tag on it. How about that? Well, that's convenient, assuming that it's still on the cord. I'm going to assume it's been there since it left Japan. Now, I believe the light cord should not be attached to the motor. It does not run through the motor, at least not on this machine. But you'll notice that this little bracket, which is great to have because it keeps the cord from flopping around, but it's actually holding the cord still, which I believe is the reason I can't get my motor to come out. So we're going to have to loosen that. Not a big deal. We just need to... I do not anticipate that... Learn to exchange my screwdriver bits with one hand here. It should not be that, as I suspected, it's not that tight. And in fact, I may not need to even remove the screw. I don't know how long it is. It may be fairly short. What I'm simply trying to do here is to get my motor cord free. So let's pan back out here just a moment. And now I've gotten the motor cord free. I can push up through this through this opening, and that, you know, I don't know how much room I have to push up here. Now let's turn back to the side. And before I set the machine down, even though I've gotten some slack, I'm putting it back down in this slot. I really don't want to pinch. You never want to pinch an electrical cord, especially one from the 60s. So now, can I remove the motor? Let's see. Now it's coming out a little bit more than it wanted to before. It is possible that the light cord, which is, not sure this is going to show up. Here's the motor cord. The light cord is sitting in a spot that seems a little odd. And I think, aha, there we go. The light cord is coming down, and it's actually, I think it's there we go. The light cord, see if I can show this to you. As much as I love the really spectacular afternoon light we've got here, we're going to need a flashlight to get in there. So here is the cord to the motor right here, and I did give it. In fact, I don't know if it's going to come out with me pulling on it, but I've been able to get enough slack to get the motor out. This is the light cord, and the light cord, obviously, it's attached to that little bracket I just showed you underneath. But it was actually blocking, it was kind of hanging. Typically cords are either bracketed or put in a place where they won't be in the way of moving parts. And it was basically, the cord was blocking, it was tugging on these bolts back here, and I couldn't get it off. All right, so what does it say? Well, that's interesting. It just says ZigZag stitcher. I guess this code meant something to the White company. What do I see here? I see, oh, that's interesting. I'm going to zoom in. I want you to take a look at this. The brushes on this motor are in excellent shape. By that I mean they're fairly long. How do I know? Because the brush holder, if you look very closely, I get something to point with here. If you look closely, right here, you'll see something that looks like brass, and that's the brush holder. And there's a spring that's there, but look at that little stripe in the middle. That is actually the brush. And this is done so that you can easily inspect it to see, if I didn't see very much gray here, if this spring was further down toward the commutator, which is right in here, that would tell me my brushes were pretty, had some level of wear on them. But right now, this brush has at least 5/8 of an inch, because I have to go all the way down to the commutator. So that's good news. What does that mean? It means motor brushes last a very long time. They can wear out, but according to what I'm finding here, these are not bad at all. So this, of course, on the other side of the motor, you will see, if I can get the camera pointed correctly, you will see the fan blades that spin to pull air through the motor. Now, good place to show you. All of these big openings, and I've shown this before, these big openings are for air. They are not for oil. These grommets that you see, these are not for oil. Do not squirt oil in there. There's one spot right here, right there. That hole is a place where I'm going to be adding oil, not a lot, right? Maybe 2 baby drops, and that's it. Normally you would just put one tiny drop once a year, but this, I don't know how long this thing's been sitting. Now let's go on the other side, and I didn't see it originally, but I think, yeah, there it is. Right here. It's hard to see, but there's one here as well. So that's nice. I'll be able to lubricate the motor. That's what, basically I wanted to see, what kind of shape is the motor in. Are the brushes shot? But I don't need to take it apart. It's easy. I can actually see it plain as day. So this is, I hope, was helpful for you when you're trying to figure out, why can't I get the motor out? With some machines, it's fairly simple. It's easy access. You just, with other machines, it's not so easy. With some machines, you've got to, I've had this with Necki Supernovas, for example. The motor there's room for it, but not a lot of extra room. So you have to kind of wiggle things sometimes, but make sure you don't damage anything. And it appears that we have. So in my next steps will be to lubricate the motor in these tiny little holes that I've been rambling on about. And then I'll probably get one of my precision tip Q-tip cotton swabs, and I will clean the commutator to see if there's anything on it. But that's actually very awesome. This tells me this machine did get some use, but not a ton. When I say a ton, I mean there are some machines, I swear, it makes you think someone maybe had a home business because they've used the brushes have worn down. But this one, not so much. I hope this was helpful, and wish all of you happy sewing machine restoration, conservation, cleaning, or whatever else you need to do to your machine. And I will see all of you in the next video, and I'm going to be going through this wonderful example of white sewing machine design, as they had moved production to Japan to lower their costs, and produced what I consider to be one of, there are a lot of great machines from this period in the 1960s. This is one of my favorites. And if you doubt that, just go back through all of the, if you go through back my library of videos, you will see I have restored many of these before. This is not my first, and it may have been a model 566, 567. The White Company would have many versions of this. There was a straight stitch version, zigzag version without the cams, and then this version with the cams, and who knows, maybe they had even more. Again, trying to meet all of those price points that sensitive consumers had to make sure that that customer didn't leave without buying a machine. So if you have one of these machines and you like it or don't like it, either way, put it down there in the comment section, and let me know, for those of you who have one and sew with it, what do you think about it? Does it do a good job for you? Does it meet your needs? And if not, what might meet your needs? Thank you all for watching and supporting this channel, and we will see you all next time.